What is going on, all you lovely and beautiful people? James from the Lore Reloaded here, just about to hang out with you guys, seeing what's going on for the Wednesday Geek Breakdown. Something we'll be doing every Wednesday. And hey, I wouldn't be starting out this show right if I didn't tell you that you should definitely, if you're watching this, rate, comment, and subscribe. And if you like what you're seeing, definitely consider becoming a Patreon, because tomorrow I'll be doing a patron requested video. Really, really excited about that. And of course, if I get two sponsors, I can make custom emojis, which I very much intend to do. But that's not why you guys have come here today. You guys have come here so that we can geek out and just talk about whatever we want to and have whatever fun we can. In chat right now, we have both the Brew Monks and Mason Herman. What is going on, fancy, great people? And so I thought we'd start out talking about the Star Trek Discovery. I know we do the Sunday night thing, but we don't really talk about what's cool or what we're focusing on when it comes to that. Got the anti-tracker up there, who just finished his Friday the 13th review, apparently. Will be doing that tomorrow, so check out his channel. Got Springtime. Springtime, how you doing? So let's just get down to it and talk about it. I don't know how long this will go. Just depends on how much material we got to go with. But again, the focus is going to be on the cool aspects of the show, not breaking it down like we were beforehand. I also had a request to talk about the Galaxy-class starship, which I will definitely do. By the way, I'm looking at, just in case CBS is watching, these are all still images, definitely not the show itself, so you don't have to worry about that. But the one thing I wanted to get into that I really liked, that I will probably have to turn off a moment, because still images have commercials, as you know. Yeah, and while I'm waiting for that to go through, I wanted to talk about the Lorca maneuver, or what people are now calling the quote-unquote Lorca maneuver. I called it Trek, didn't I? Or did I say Track? Anti-Trekker is saying I said Trek, so say Trek. We got Robert Rube up in the house. What's going on, Robert Rube? But the Lorca maneuver. Effectively, what you do is you jump in, you let stuff beat the hell out of you, and then you jump out leaving torpedoes. At least that's what the anti-Trekker said. So we're going to take a look at that again and just kind of go through it. Now, the anti-Trekker, and you were off today, so I should have pulled you on the call with me, but wow, something just went into my ears. So I should have pulled you on the call today, but what did you guys think about the ending of it? So the ships themselves, the Klingon ships, I'm going to take a closer look at it. I don't hate the Klingon ships. I guess they're the birds of prey, but I don't necessarily hate them when I'm looking at them. And I apologize, guys. As you know, single images that don't move often have commercials run with them, kind of like CBS Access, but I'm definitely not using that, so I'm waiting for those to go past. What's going on, Russell Webster up in the house? And the other thing I wanted to talk about, and then we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, was the way the ship spun. Now, what's funny, Trekker, since you're watching, someone pointed this out to me, and it completely does. So when it starts spinning, doesn't it? You remember, it was probably a couple of years ago, when they had the Constitution-class ship and they had the pizza thing where you could cut pizza with? It was a pizza cutter. Does it not remind you of that? I mean, seriously, how funny. So let's go back. So that is too far ahead. Let's start sharing again. All right. That's frustrating. Anyway, so while we're waiting for that to go through, but does it not look or remind you of the pizza cutter? Yeah, the USS Pizza Cutter. But someone did make a good point. So the black alert, I guess, would kind of make sense with the black alert if the outer edges, you had to either secure yourself in a room or you needed to go inside the ship, especially if they were about to boot that up. So I guess it kind of makes sense when they do a black alert versus having it as a quote-unquote red alert. And I'm waiting for that ship to come up because I would really love your guys' opinion on that. We guarantee that we will kill the Klingons in 30 minutes or less. I get the joke because the episode is about an hour and they barely have any combat in it at all. Any combat at all. How many commercials do you know? I'm tempted to go to the commercial free zone and pay them the $4 more, but that's probably why they do it. I wish they would give us more on what the ship's capabilities is too, because it's a science ship, right? So my question is if it's a science ship, it was built for science, how does it take the beating that it does? Unless it's just had some insane enhancements to it. Because again, most science ships, like the Oberth class, is not known for its ability to, fight. All right, here we go. All right, here we are, back in the frame. So hopefully you guys can see it. I can't really make it a lot bigger than that. So the anti-trekker was saying that those are supposed to be birds of prey, right? And I never would have actually known that unless you pointed it out. I mean, again, I don't necessarily hate the design, but I really didn't get birds of prey from it. And I wonder if we can get a close-up. Let's see. Let me pull this out a little bit more. And I can't stand the actor. I don't like the actor. I really cannot stand his politics, but I think he's a good actor. I really like him in this. All right, so here they are. And this is when they first appear. So, you got all the bad stuff going on. Shields drop. They're about to kill everything. Oh, by the way, all of this is still images, not used for anything, so don't worry about that. And then you get the close-up of the kid, and boom. So that's just a really cool shot. I do like it. I mean, again, it makes absolutely no sense how they were able just to instantly appear and just blow those birds out of the sky. But that is an awesome shot that they did right there. Springtime says it's really a battleship. It's just called a science vessel. That I would agree with, definitively. So he appears in, and then what they decide to do is stay there and let them beat them up. That's a cool shot. Until they are able to jump away again. And you see it right there. Everything goes so fast. That is one thing I don't like about this. So, they go so incredibly fast. Why would, and Anti-Trekker says, waiting for CBS to drop the hammer. Why would they drop the hammer? I've done absolutely nothing wrong. These are all still images. Nothing to be taken from. But everything goes so fast you can't watch it. But that is a cool maneuver. So I still am trying to figure out why they wouldn't just overpower them, though. Because they destroyed the birds of prey instantly. Then they stay there. They sit. They wait till their shields are gone. And then they leave the torpedoes and just explode. And then they just move away. I thought that was funny too. But honestly, that really was a really cool and fun battle scene for the little time that we got for it, right? And it's, of course, now known as the Lorca maneuver. So, but again, you guys haven't given me your opinion. What do you think of the Lorca maneuver, as it were? Do you think it's a really good thing that people should do? It's going to go down in history like the Picard maneuver or the Kirk maneuver. And then they just jump away. I think that's funny. Completely funny. testing the Spore drive, question mark. I'm not sure what you're saying when you're saying, Headless Chicken, that they're testing the Spore drive. But going back to that, when the actual dome was turning, it's a cool scene. And I guess that's kind of what Star Trek Discovery is, in a way, isn't it? It's cool things that you can watch. And it's not just the CGI, it's the concept of it. It's interesting to watch a Trek ship have a spinning saucer, because they've never done that before. What is going on? Dr. Charisma up in the house. Also Russell Webster up in the house. Don't know if I said that. I said hi to you, and I definitely didn't say hi to my man Headless Chicken 6661. Headless Chicken, I know. If you are who I think you are, I know you back in the day when I used to talk about politics. And you used to get mad at me. But back to talking about the actual ship itself. The concepts are cool. I love the fact that the ships do spin, or the saucer does spin, just as a cool thing to see. Now, it doesn't make a lot of sense for a Federation ship to do that. They've never really done that before. I get it. It's a part of the Spore drive. But they're going to have to do something with this Spore drive. This has to go away if it's going to stay. If this is going to be prime timeline, something has to happen where the Spore drive just completely and utterly disappears. And I almost hope... And let me give you my theory. Let me tell you what I think. I think I talked about this with you, Trekker. So I'm thinking, for all of this to make sense, they have to go away, and it has to be lost to time. So either it is a Section 31 ship, because that's the only way it could stay prime timeline, and everybody... That's the only way it can stay prime timeline, and everybody lives. Or... they tie it into the temporal Cold War. Now, just hear me out. How cool would it be if they got somehow pulled into the temporal Cold War and had to give their lives to ensure that the reset that we see in Enterprise happens here? And the entire reset does everything. So the way you see the way you see the Klingons is reset too. So they go through the temporal Cold War, they give their lives, they're completely obliterated, but you see all of this wiped away. The entire war and the Klingons themselves are remade. Now, I'm not saying that it's a perfect idea. There's some fleshing out there, but how cool would it be? Russell Webster, I don't think it is. I don't think it is not prime timeline is what I'm saying. They're claiming it is. Every time they talk about it, they say, hey, this is the prime timeline. It's happening in the prime timeline. For instance, as you guys know, I do lore all the time. I'll be doing the Vulcan lore next week, finishing that up, and I have to talk about the interaction between the Vulcans and the Klingons. It is now canon that the Vulcans, after the first interaction, after the first time the Vulcans get destroyed, they fire on the ship every time. They fire on, after the first time Klingons destroy a Vulcan ship, the Vulcans are like, let's just shoot them. Let's just shoot them on up. Let's do it, boys. Let's go. That's canon. So it's prime timeline. It is. It has to be. I don't want it to be. I want it to be Star Trek reimagined, or I want it to be Kelvin. But everything that happens in these shows is now appearing on official sources, official canon. Anti-Trekker says Admiral Skywalker at Starfleet Command said, let's try spinning. That's a neat trick. We've heard that one before, didn't we? It's funny, though. And he also says, it would not be cool at all. The whole temporal Cold War was a failed and stupid. It's the only way for it to make sense, and I don't know. I think SF Debris gave a pretty cool explanation of how the temporal Cold War could work. But this is prime time. I don't want it to be. I'm like you guys. Man, I hate it when still images actually move. And they are, don't worry, they are still images. So please don't put it where I'm going to have to fight you guys. By the way, since I'm on that, let me tell you guys this. NBC, BBC, Time Warner, and one other, Fox, have all released, all of them. I have had issues with every one of those. Every one of them have released the copyright My agreement with CBS, and this was saying that I don't agree with fair use, and it's a for right now thing, was that, you guys just take the money, we'll just keep it up. But the more everybody else is releasing it, the angrier I'm getting about the situation. Headless Chicken 6661 asks, could Discovery tie into the next Trek movie? Perhaps the Kelvin timeline is rumored to reset in the next movie. I have not heard that. That would be interesting. So here's an idea, because everybody is now trying to make cinematic universes, right? You got Marvel, you got Star Wars. I wonder if they may be trying to do that. Now, that would be kind of interesting if after this it ties directly into the next movie somehow. I think that would be difficult, but I think it's possible. Going to Black Alert, baby. Where is it? There it is. Da, 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 da. Nope. The ships are far too advanced to be Prime timeline. Stew. Springtime says stew. I don't know what stew is unless it's for something. So here's my thing. An anti-Trekker disagrees with me on this, and a lot of people disagree, not just him. I don't mind the upgrades. I think that they would use a lot of this technology if they had it back when they made the original series. The only thing that seems to go a little too far with me is the holograms. I will completely agree with that. The holograms are a little too advanced for my tastes, simply because it's blatant that they didn't have that technology. But in DS9, it was actually just new technology. But beyond that, I don't mind the upgrades. I think the upgrades would be there if they'd had it in the original series. And honestly, I'll tell you, I've been watching a lot of people, including Trek Yards, Certifiably In-Game, and Red Letter Media. And interestingly enough, when it comes to the Klingons, I think I've been completely turned around on the way the Klingons look. And the reason is because when you look at the entire series, all of the series that have come, the Klingons have never been consistent. They've even changed in small ways from like TNG to DS9 and even to Voyager a little bit. But if you look at the original series and then you look at the movies, those two, the Klingons are different, almost drastically in some ways. And then if you look at from the movies to TNG, they change more. And, so Anti-Trekker says, you like the Klingons now? I don't like the Klingons. I'm not upset about the Klingons. Semaravadi 3 says, how do you think they will tie in the Spore drive? I would think they would make it a failed experiment. Ultimately, I think that it has to be a failed experiment. At some point, there's no way, because everybody would be using this drive, or they would be talking about it. We were actually talking about that beforehand. Either Section 31 has to take it away, and it has to be wiped from time, or it has to be a temporal Cold War. The Spore drive has to go away, and no one ever finds out about it. It's kind of like Phlox and his curing or taking care of the nanites for the Borg. It just has to go away because this is Prime timeline, unless it's Kelvin, unless it's reimagined, but they continue to say, and it's showing up in canon now. So I gotta say it's gonna have to go away definitively. So that would be my opinion on it. I'm not smoking anything anti-Trekker. Did you guys have anything when it comes to this? Because we'll move on and talk about some other things if you want to. This didn't have a lot that impressed me. I mean, I guess we could talk about the space amoeba or whatever, bugbear, but I'm not all that impressed with the subplot with Michael being, the alien whisperer and whatnot. That is definitively going to come up. I guarantee you within the next couple of episodes, though, this is going to be some kind of intelligent alien that they're hurting, that they can't use it anymore because it's torture and yada yada. And of course Lorca is going to say that we have to use it because this is war, And while I hate it, it's not Federation, it's not Starfleet. He's right. But I guarantee you there's going to be some kind of moral quandary where Michael's going to come up on the right side of it. Headless Chicken 661 says the Spore Drive playing a critical role in resorting the timeline, perhaps? In resetting the timeline, I think is what you mean. And its use could erase from history, just spinning ideas. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see that. What about the USS Discovery? How do you think they will write it off? Well, so any reset that they do, or anything that results in the Discovery being destroyed, does have some continuity issues. If you remember, the original series says that the Enterprise actually refers to the Discovery. So, I mean, yeah, they still have to bring it up. Dude, you cannot be serious. They established in canon that the head ridges are like human fingerprints. That is why they are different. The overall design did not change from the motion picture through DS9. The Right Gamer says the Klingons' appearance could maybe explained as a continuation of the Klingon augment virus from Enterprise, maybe another attempt to undo the damage. That would make the most sense. But if that happened, then why is it hitting all of the Klingons? Why did it hit all the 24 houses? Because there were some Klingons that would have been spared, I would think, or it wouldn't have spread. So I don't know. I mean, in the JJ verse, they changed up the Klingons too. So I'm just saying, I'm not as upset about it. I'm sure the anti-Trekker and myself will be arguing about that this Sunday, this time. But I'm not just all that upset about it. I'm sorry. It's Red Letter Media. If you haven't seen it, go watch Red Letter Media's review. They're a smaller channel, so definitely subscribe and tell them the Lore Reloaded says hi, because I'm sure they'll love the upbeat and ticks. But they just made a convincing argument to me. I'm not that upset or crazy about it. Let's see. This is probably one of the things we can never explain. Just lore fun away. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the channel, right? I hate that she died. I absolutely loved the security officer. I think she did a good job. I think she did an excellent job, as it were. You're liking the armor, though. The armor of the security, of the Klingons. What specifically are we talking about there? I actually do not care that much about the look, but the prosthetics are so heavy they cannot emote or talk. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking about that. I mean, at some point they had to sit there and say, yes, this is exactly what I want. This is it. This is the pinnacle. And I'm not exactly sure why they would have said that, to do that. I think that it was a bad call, and I don't know why they would have done that. So, if you guys don't have any more about that, I was asked to give my opinion on the Galaxy-class starship. And the speech definitely got better in Episode 4. I would agree that the speech definitely did get better in Episode 4. Though, I mean, what's better? It still sounded like they were mumbling. Or, I don't know, Mike, the Anti-Tracker does a wonderful example of that, by the way. The Right Gamer says another option is the 24 houses fell during Discovery as a result of the war, and the Council culture was replaced by the augment-infected Klingons. Huh. So, but why haven't we seen the augment-infected Klingons then? Galaxy class is the dumbest looking ship in Trek history. Well, at least it's not a Constitution class, which is, I mean, what is that? It's just like so when they made the Constitution, it's like, hey, you know what? Let's take a plate and 3 funnels and let's put them together, and that's going to be our starship. Winning. Yeah, but here would be interesting. But so the one guy who didn't like the Tavuma, who at the very first episode said you won't get away with this. It would have been cool if he was like an augment infected. He had the actual ridges, and the rest of the families destroyed themselves, and then he took it over, and that started the chancellorship dynasty or whatnot. That would be cool. You know, we just haven't seen any ridges, any Klingon ridges, and I don't think they exist in this world. I honestly just don't think they exist at all. I think these are the Klingons. I think these are meant to be the Klingons. I think this is going to be the Klingons going forward forever and always. What about the Klingon dialect? I didn't like it. It seems a bit mumbly. Yeah, that's what we were saying beforehand. It is a bit mumbly. Mumbly. So, overall, if we're not talking about Trek, we got some really cool ideas. We got some really cool stuff going on. And I get that it wouldn't be, we probably wouldn't even be talking about it. But I think that if this had been its own sci-fi series, it'd actually be a pretty good series. I'd probably, if I eventually watched it, would really get into it and hate that it got canceled because we didn't watch it while it was active. Now everybody's talking about how much the Galaxy class sucks, and that's okay. You have your right to be wrong. Looked even dumber when the saucer separated. I will agree there. It does look pretty dumb when the saucer separates. Never really made a lot of sense for saucer separation either, given how the defenses on the Galaxy class are. You really hurt yourself by splitting them up like that. I forgot about the Enterprise J. Okay, the Galaxy class is the second dumbest looking. Yeah, the Enterprise J, which is the timeline ship. If you guys haven't ever watched, what was it? Enterprise? It's a pretty dumb ship. Both the Galaxy class and the J's class were probably meant to look and behave like large flying round cities. Thinking Atlantis. Yeah, I would agree with that. And we now have a new name for Star Trek Discovery. It is Star Battlestar Galactica Trek Discovery. So be sure to put that out there. TM. Trademarked. Just trademarked. Because I know CBS is watching me, so you can't take it because I just trademarked it. So that happened. That happened. Good, sir. Well, no, guys, if you want to talk about something, we can. Looks like this may actually be a shorter one because there wasn't really a lot to dig in on this episode. Discovery can be quite shallow. It's almost like Orville in that instance, where if you don't get into the main mentality of backing Michael, there's not really a lot there. Was the Galaxy class a battleship, and did Section 31 have a hand in its design? Really doubt Section 31 had a hand in its design. Wasn't it a dreadnought? I think the anti-trekker would know better than I do, but I think it was classified as dread. It might have been a battleship. The one thing I hate, I am going to watch the new Star Wars, going to be putting some stuff together for that, by the way. But what was I saying? So the one thing I hate in the Next Generation era is that they have these starships and they give them their classifications, but because of how bipolar the Next Generation was, part of it because Gene was still alive and had a hand, just because it has a designation as like a battleship doesn't mean it really is put together as a battleship. Because especially when Gene was in charge, the ships, regardless of designation, weren't as powerful as they could have been or should have been based on their designation. The Right Gamer says the Galaxy class would act like a battleship, I think, but it was meant to be a ship for families and science, which may explain the not-so-sleek design. Well, and its armor was made of just paper. So the Galaxy class starship, its shields were excellent for its class. And that was the saving grace for it. When shields came up, absolutely just a beast. They were made for the ship itself, but as soon as you got past the shields, that ship was just made of explodium. Just straight up explodium. I mean, a bird of prey just destroyed it because it could get past its shields. You're telling me that a battleship of the Galaxy class wouldn't be able to take a couple of hits, especially from a bird of prey, an older bird of prey at that? It's just, it was made of paper. as soon as you got past the shields. Anti-Trekker looks like he's agreeing with me, which is rare. The galaxy falls into your idea that the Federation sucks as a military. It would be like if we started putting families on aircraft carriers, and we made those aircraft carriers out of thin paper. Galaxy class like the Enterprise ships. Hey, Russell, you are welcome, sir. If you got to go, it was good seeing you. Yeah, exactly, Anti-Tracker. So it wasn't just a bird of prey. It was an outdated bird of prey. It is so... I get it. Ships in Trek, they work at the speed of plot. So they're powerful when they have to be, and they suck when they have to be. But again, every time its shields dropped, the one consistency is every time a Galaxy-class starship's shields dropped, that was the ball game. That ship was dead. Sam asks what the specs of my computer are. I'm not sure. Am I lagging or something, or are you just wondering? The Right Gamer says the problem the Federation has is ships meant to carry scientists and families aren't heavily armed and defended for their purpose. Deep space, aliens, mysteries should handle a lot more. Yeah, I agree, and that's my whole point in this. The Federation or Starfleet was demilitarized. I don't know why this is such a hard concept for people to understand. During the original series, the ships were made for both exploration and to kill Klingons. That's why they made the ships. Okay? I mean, we can try to skirt around it all we want, but they had two things they wanted to do in mind. They wanted to make sure they can kill them some Klingons, and they wanted to make sure that they could, scan and find out what a star was made of. Then the Klingons lost. The Klingons lost. Their entire economy could not withstand being just a complete military. They lost and became allies. And then from there, a lot of the Starfleet was put into mothballs. The stations, battle stations, were all decommissioned, and they became the peaceniks of peace and peace everlasting from Peace McPeacington. And at that point, they started putting families on ships that were meant to fight enemies like the Borg. And I like Starfleet. I like Star Trek. I like Star Trek. I really enjoy it. But it is what it is. Don't get mad at me. I didn't write the fiction. Hey, I play Star Trek Online too, Russell. We need to get together sometime. And the Intrepid class had the super hull. That is true. What's funny is, depending on what episode you go in Voyager, it was both so the one thing I liked about DS9 is they finally put Starfleet back where it needed to go. Because when Voyager came out, the ship was both a ship made for combat and a science ship. It had both capabilities, and it did both extremely well. And that's the type of ships Starfleet should be making, especially for deep space. Voyager Temporal Affairs, worst night. Yeah, I agree. Axanar, anyone? I hate that, talking about Axanar for a minute, and, Axanar follows me on Twitter, and I think they're actually subscribed to me, and I'm going to hate if I make them mad from this, but I kind of see where CBS was coming for Axanar. But that said, I would have loved to seen, and they're still coming out with it. They're coming out with 2 episodes, but I would have loved to seen Axanar as they envisioned it. I think that would have been excellent. You like the Star Trek Online plot, and you think it can be considered Prime Universe. The Star Trek Online plot is fine. It is not considered canon as much anymore. Used to, CBS and Paramount put all of their cards behind it and said, yep, this is canon. It's not considered canon anymore. It's really based on if you want to consider it or not, but when I'm putting my lore videos together, I rarely even look at Star Trek Online because it's not considered canon. What's your and I'll have to I don't think I have a fleet, honestly. I just get on and play by myself, if I'm being honest, but I wouldn't mind playing with someone. It'd be fun. I'm the leader of Chaotic Slipstream. Can you send me that in a message? Go to my name. First off, watch this, but once I'm done, go to my name, go to About, and there's a little send option. It looks like a little chat, and send it to me if you could, please. please. I'd appreciate it, and I'll send you an invite. Send me all your information, and I'll send an invite. Now, I don't get on a ton, because you'd be surprised how long it takes me to put these videos together. That and me and Michael, or me and Anti-Tracker, do things outside of YouTube too, so I'm generally pretty busy. But I'll add you, and if we ever can get on together. Dr. Charisma says, I really want to know what would happen after Voyager in the Dominion War. I do too, but I wonder if they think they've told the tale for that. If there's no more, that's why they keep going back. Now, here's an interesting thing, and this is definitive when it comes to YouTube. If you want somebody to watch your stuff, you have to generally go with nostalgia. You have to generally go with what someone grew up with. That's where the views are. That's why Star Trek is very popular on my channel, because I'm hitting nostalgia from people who grew up with TNG, with DS9. And that's why they're doing the old series, and I think we're going to have to wait a few more years before they finally get the memo that people want to see past the Dominion War. It would be very interesting to see how right I was in my lore stuff, and it would be absolutely excellent for my views. So if they could do that, that just would be awesome. Who needs shields when you have plot armor? Says I can comment now. Absolutely. Absolutely. Russell Webster says, I think the reason it was a big deal about Axanar. So I'm assuming Russell said something beforehand. Okay, so I'm going to be completely honest with you. I understand how people could put together that because Discovery is about a Klingon war, and Axanar was about a Klingon war. They're putting it together. I like Axanar. I would, Alec Peters, I've heard good and bad things. I would shake the guy's hand, and I would love to pick his brain. I think Axanar did a lot of things that you shouldn't and can't be able to do. And that's my honest opinion. I think Axanar did a ton of things that don't fall within copyright. That's my opinion. I'm sure Alex Peters disagrees with me, and that's fine. That's just my opinion. But again, I would love to see Alec Peters' actual vision. And I've gotten several requests to do lore on Axanar, and I intend to. And that's actually why Axanar and me are following each other, because I'm going to hit him up and ask him some more questions. Springtime says, in the 2330, the enemy Cardassian were too poor to fund its military, so the ships of Starfleet was badly damaged by its victory after victory. Yeah, that goes back to my Cardassian lore, and I stand by it. The Starfleet had the ability. You see with the Dominion War, Starfleet could pump out ships of war like there's no tomorrow. So we know that they have the ability. They chose not to. They chose to put only enough ships to stalemate with an enemy that clearly had inferior technology. People got killed because Starfleet was pacifistic. They just did. And that's just the way it is. Putting families on a warship, that seems like, it's just a fabulous idea. It's like, hey, let's go into deep space. Like, an Anti-Tracker? I don't know if Anti-Tracker's still here. He may have left. But the funny thing is, in the original series, I think they sent out, 7 Constitution-class ships, and only the Enterprise returned? Based on that doesn't seem like a good idea. Pick his brain. Wow. I got something in my throat. All right, guys, we're going to be finishing up pretty shortly. Unless you guys got anything else you want to talk about. Tomorrow, I'll be doing a Patreon request. Really excited about. I'm going to be doing the Orion Syndicate, which will be kind of fun. But yeah. So I'm going to give it a couple of seconds to see if you guys pull anything else out. And then we'll probably end it here. It is always fabulous talking with you guys, though. I have so much fun. I'm so blessed that I'm able to do this for a living now. Thank you guys so much for making this just happen and occur, because it wouldn't happen without you guys. And Yeah, I really got to start making emojis so that I can get people. And I don't know why YouTube has decided to allow me to get sponsors. That's supposed to be gaming only. I guess maybe because I played a few games early in this, but I don't do that anymore, obviously, because it's taken off. Remember, elite forces, okay? Admirals think alpha and beta quads are safe as hell. That is true. That is absolutely true. Admirals have absolutely no idea what's going on out there, which is why Janeway was made an admiral. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. If you're not a patron, become a patron. Or just stay. It's still going to be free. We'll have fun. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next